Meeting is being recorded and summarized.
All right, everyone. Welcome again to our presentation of developing a powerful LinkedIn profile. My name is Cliff Guerin. I am one of the advisors here at the Career and Professional Development Center and glad to have you joining me today. So if you are at work or wherever you are, if you need to step out, if you need to get a drink of water, you need a bio break, you are being called away, um, again, you'll be able to roll back the recording once you get it. It will be a YouTube video, so you can stop and pause it at your leisure, but you'll not miss anything once you get that recording. If after the fact you have additional questions that do pop up or you want to just contact us, the easiest way and the most direct way would be through our email. And that is there at careers@wgu.edu. And then for any questions or comments or anything for today, we will be using the chat feature, not the Q&A panel, but the chat. And today we're going to go over, just do an overview of LinkedIn, look at some numbers. We'll talk about how to optimize certain strategies of using LinkedIn. We'll talk about the profile sections, next steps, things that you can be doing to help you become more familiarized or become a stronger user of LinkedIn. And then any questions that pop up, we can address those and go over any suggestions or answers. So, why use LinkedIn? It's been around for quite a while. Even as early as yesterday, I had a student ask me if I thought it was a good idea for them to have a LinkedIn profile, and the answer is yes. Now, there are certain and more specific industries and career paths that will use LinkedIn more than others, such as the business sector, anything within management, leadership, sales, marketing, even accounting and finance. They may look at your LinkedIn profile. Um, IT folks are still looking at LinkedIn. Teachers and healthcare, not as much, but I still think it's a good idea to have a LinkedIn profile because it can provide more information about you. LinkedIn is not social media. LinkedIn is not like Facebook or X or any of these social media platforms. It is a business platform. It's for networking. Job searching obviously has become part of that. I would recommend that you use it more for networking purposes. If you're getting to know recruiters and there are jobs that are legitimate and you want to do your due diligence to make sure that what's posted through LinkedIn or who may contact you through LinkedIn about internships or jobs, do your research to make sure that they are legitimate jobs and things like that. But its purpose still is to really be able to cultivate your brand and your digital footprint as you're reaching out and building your network. We talked about as a search mechanism, perfectly fine to do that. You just want to be safe and smart in doing that. It's also really good at exploring your companies. If you have targeted companies that you are researching, or if you're a career changer and you're switching into a new industry, LinkedIn is still a pretty good tool to use for that. So is Handshake. Handshake is, let's say Handshake is like kissing cousins to LinkedIn. It can do all these. Handshake is good to cultivate your brand. It's excellent to use to network with recruiters or other students. Its obviously main design is for job searching and internships, but the companies that are in Handshake for WGU, that can also be a way for you to do maybe exploration of who they are, what they do, things like that. So it's good to do that kind of research. I'll get my cursor over there. So by the numbers, there are still over a billion people, a billion worldwide that are members of LinkedIn. 67 million or more companies are using LinkedIn. They could use LinkedIn as a soft background check. You know, who is it that's contacting me? Who is Blanca? Who is Celeste? Who is Chris? Who is Heather? They can use this to do a little bit of research on you and find out, did you complete your profile? Does it look completed, or does it look incomplete, which may not work to your favor? So you want to make sure that it is completely filled out, every section, even your photo, your profile photo is important, because the algorithms behind everything, the algorithms behind every section, including your photo, have a purpose. So you want to make sure that everything is buttoned up and polished and looks good. Over 315 million, I didn't put the M in there, of our WGU alumni, probably more today, they're all on LinkedIn and they're using it to network with each other. 94% of recruiters, as far as our research has shown, use LinkedIn or other platforms to really do a vetting their possible applicants, finding them. We're going to show you a little bit about the recruiter tool that they use to help find you. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now, all of you that are here, get ready on your keyboard or on your phone, but why not put your LinkedIn URL in the chat right now and share that with your classmates here today? This is really a great time and a great place to put that in, and you can begin to network, if you haven't already, with the folks that are participating with this presentation right now. If you can't do it now, as you can during our time together, go ahead and put it in. Now, here is what I was talking about earlier. As you're optimizing your LinkedIn profile, there is a thing called a LinkedIn recruiting tool. So recruiters will use this on their side to look for possible talents, again, using keywords, using degree types: Bachelor of Science in Software Development, Bachelor of Science in Accounting. However they want to use it from their end, they can find you and begin to reach out and build up their network with possible applicants. So the algorithm that they use, there is a ranking, that is indexed at a higher level depending on the certain sections that they're using. But what they're mostly looking at will be the headline, which goes under your picture, not just the title. We're going to talk about this. How can you really make that more robust to work in your favor? That little bit that's under your picture. Now, it can include a job title, and obviously this is going to be in your work experience section. And that's how those algorithms will also work, just like your resume. You want to use the word experience. Don't just put jobs or career paths. You don't want to be creative at this point. You do want to say work experience, professional experience, but that word experience holds that algorithmic type of identity. And so that's what's being searched for when recruiters are using the LinkedIn tool and when recruiters are using other applicant tracking systems for your resume. LinkedIn has that skills section. We're going to talk about that and how you can use that to your advantage. But these are what's got a higher index than some of the other sections. And so you want to give some attention to these areas. Plus your summary section or your about me section. That's going to have a little different way it operates, but we're going to see how that is also a really powerful part of your LinkedIn profile. So as you're optimizing your profile in these different sections, keep in mind that you want to have maybe some job descriptions or at least an understanding of the industry so that the keywords that you're using for your target industry are visible on your LinkedIn profile. And it's future facing. And what I mean by that is you certainly want to talk about your transferable skills. What are you bringing to the table? But you want your LinkedIn profile to be about your next career step, not just about your past or present, but also what is your trajectory? What is your career trajectory? And however you want to describe that as you're doing research on the jobs that are interesting for you, that's where you want to be able to add those to your industry skills. Again, relevant transferable skills. Keep in mind, I said the word relevant. So as much as you can, find those transferable skills, even if you're a career changer, the better it's going to work for you. If you have certifications or you have certifications that are coming up in your near future from WGU, you can add them to your LinkedIn profile. And then obviously, what are you interested in? What kind of career are you going for? Those job titles, or again, those industry keywords can really be powerful for that. If you need help in finding those keywords, not only looking at LinkedIn itself, finding those job descriptions, you could probably now use ChatGPT, Copilot, any of those AI platforms that you can put the prompts in to identify the top 15 keywords that describe a Python software developer. So be descriptive, be detailed, and it will give you those keywords that you can use. Now, if you need to go back, and this is a living document, so you can always update your profile, have the ability to go back and add or take away or whatever you want to do to help with that. When you're ready to edit your LinkedIn profile, this is just a reminder. You go to your profile, the top right, you should have even a little circle of your picture or your initials. When you click on that, you can be able to change your settings and you work with that. Click on profile and you should have a section to add additional sections, or that little pencil will allow you to edit the content of your profile. That will open up the editor, and the dialog box to help you do that. Now, a word about your picture, which does hold some importance. You want that to be visible because when you have a good profile picture, what the LinkedIn data we're getting is that can result in 21 times more views of your profile because it's being picked up. Say those recruiters using the LinkedIn recruiter tool, they're able to identify and they're going to see your picture, it's still part of your profile that needs to be completed. And it's going to increase those profile views as well as see a bump, maybe up to 9 times more connections in request, membership requests, or not memberships, but networking requests from other people. Review the photos of others. If you're concerned about, what does a professional photo mean? What does that look like? You can use your phone. You don't have to get fancy on that, but you do want to make sure that you look professional in there. So it needs to be just you, not you holding your dog, not you on vacation holding your baby. I've seen this. Just a good photo that is shoulders and above, professional attire, a friendly smile. It needs to be engaging. Your picture is inviting others to really come in deeper to look at your profile. Natural lighting, you can be outside, but just make sure it's not too distracting with whatever's behind you. A neutral background is good. Don't just be up against a white wall. You don't want that to be your, you know, it needs to be a little bit more engaging, like I said. And then obviously look at the camera. Don't have sunglasses on. Don't wear a hat. Things like that. So just some good things to use as a checklist. Now, right behind your picture is that banner. If you don't have anything, it's probably gray, but you can find something. You can find something a little bit more interesting. You can Google it, you can create it yourself, but you do want to make sure that it's showcasing something that's relevant to your brand, to your industry. Keep it clear, professional. You can use Canva if you're a Canva user, if you want to create something. Here's an example. Olivia Wilson, she's in social media marketing. She says that she's got her URL for her brand. She's got something that's interesting and engaging as far as graphics are concerned. All right. So real quickly, Christian has a question. What do you think about adding the title of the position you want or are in to your LinkedIn profile URL? That's an excellent idea. In fact, that's what I have. At the end of that, instead of the numbers, we're gonna touch base on this in just a minute. At the end of your URL are, if you haven't changed it, it's probably a series of numbers and letters. I have mine that is my name, Cliff Guerin, Career Advisor. So, my hope is that, again, that's going to add to that search, that if somebody is using that as, or you just put career advisor, or just put, as Christian said, just put your job title or your industry, that will be picked up by those recruiters if they're doing a keyword search. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. And here we are, just what we're talking about. So you do want to customize it. Again, you can go back to your profile. Next to your public profile and URL, you can click on that pencil, and then you would be able to change that and edit it. It makes it easier for you to be found, and it's easier for you to share. You can use it on your professional materials like your resume, your cover letter, even if you have like a little business card that you use. We're in the holiday season. That's a good idea too. If you have like a little business card that you create from any like Office Depot, or you can just do it on your own printer if you want to go and buy business cards that you can create yourself. You can put your you can put a QR code on there that goes to your LinkedIn profile, or you can put your URL that's on there. Those are some pretty good marketing and networking ideas. Again, for common names, avoid 2 and 4 number combinations on there. That just, you don't want people to guess. It's like, is that your date of birth? Is that your part of your phone number? Just your name or your industry or something like that. So good stuff that you can work on. So here's the headline. I mentioned the headline earlier. This is under your name, under your picture. This is one of our advisors who used to work in our department, Nicole, and you see what she put. 4-time certified career development specialist, career coach, certified resume writer, forensic economic mobility, little fancy, professional success through relationship building and high quality career advising. That's her value proposition. So if you want something like a formula, this is how you could do that. Have your target job title, maybe a couple of industry skills or certifications, and then your value proposition. If this is all a recruiter reads, you want this to really pack a punch, so to speak. We're seeing that it's the number one section that's prioritized by that LinkedIn recruiter algorithm because it's picking up those really rich keywords. If we're reading like we read in English, top to bottom, left to right, right? You're going to start at the top and kind of go down to the bottom. There's like a page in a book. So it's going to be seen first. Your picture, that's going to be those graphics, that visual that's going to get their attention, the person's name, and then a little blurb about what they're bringing to the table. Key rich headlines are really powerful. So ask yourself, if you're like, well, how do I write it? How do I get started? Well, ask yourself maybe some of these starting questions. What is my career target? What are my top skills in my industry? And what problems do I solve or can solve? Or what's a creative, blurb that you could put to invite people to go deeper with your profile? Here are some examples, and again, some other really good ways of starting that sort of a formula, if you will, for that. So the one we just talked about, the job title, keyword skill, keyword skill, keyword skill, and then you end it with a value statement or a proposition. Another way of doing it is maybe a job title. Maybe if you already have a certification or two, then some keyword skills. That could be another way of writing it. And if you're a career changer and you're just starting out, which is perfectly fine, you can still have a powerful LinkedIn profile, but you may put in your job function and then maybe the industry skills that you're learning through coursework, and then a value proposition. What do you hope to do with your degree? That's a good question. Christian has, this question always come up. Do I include or not include the word aspiring? Um, I do, and I haven't heard too much about that. Um, Especially if you don't have the work experience or maybe the projects, and you don't want to say professional and then fill in the blank because you may not be at that level yet. So I think including aspiring is okay. Until I hear something differently, I don't think that is a bad thing to do. I hope that helps. So your about section, that is like your 30-second commercial, is how I call it. When anybody gets to your profile, this is one of the number one things they are drawn to, that they're viewed, that they want to read line by line. So you want to make sure that yours is impactful. It grabs attention. You don't have to get too creative, but it is more of a narrative. It's more of a personal invitation, if you will. It is the largest section that can have the most characters, up to 2,600 characters. I probably wouldn't go that high. You don't want to give your biography. You do want it to be engaging, but not too wordy. And I'm going to show you some ways of making it really intriguing for folks to read, to be interested. You want it to support your headline. You want it to reflect your brand, focusing on, again, your skills, experiences, what you can bring to the recruiter. As I said, you want to treat it like your 30-second commercial. Personalize it. You can use leadership style. You can use your passions, if you want to use that word, unique strengths, things of that sort. And again, integrating those keywords and industry skills are going to be important. And Christian posted his about section in the chat. If your environment has alerts, anomalies, and misconfigurations trying to live their best life, I'm more than happy to step in and encourage them to make better choices. So it's funny, it's engaging. You might now put something, if you want, Christian, in how will you do this? So, if you want all these to have a better life and to be happy, you're happy to step in and encourage them to make better choices. How will you do that? And so that might be another layer or element to get attention. But that's good. You can start with something creative and witty. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Good. So you cover that in a couple paragraphs. Good. So here are some other writing tips about your about section. You can write in first person. You can tell a little story about yourself. You can start with a hook, like Christians is a good hook, gets attention. I'd say 3 to 5 paragraphs, maybe three is a good number. Again, you don't want it to be too long or too wordy. So we're going to spend a little bit of detail, but let's say you have 3 paragraphs. Your opening paragraph is tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Why do you do it? Or it's future oriented. So maybe what do you want to do? What is it that you want to do, going forward? Why did you choose this particular career path? What draws you to that particular field? And you don't want to just say because I want to make a lot of money, or because I need a job. You want to go a little bit more personable, and that could be what motivates you into that more than just your bank account. That next section or next paragraph could be um, maybe your transferable skills. What are you bringing to that industry? What's your knowledge that you are now increasing or developing through your coursework? What's relevant that you're adding to a particular industry? And maybe how do you achieve results? That could be quantified or it could be qualified. It doesn't have to be just numbers. It could be keywords on how you make something better. And then if you want to end it and close it up again with what are now your career goals? What kinds of opportunities are you open to or looking at? And then a call to action. And you want that action to be let's get together, let's connect, things like that. Now, here's another way if you want to make it a little bit more interesting. You can start with maybe headers. So it might be a header, uh, and then you can under the header you could put bullet points. You could put more text, but that header can be all in caps and bolded, and that can simply be what I do, and then underneath it give a little blurb. Why I career in accounting, give a little blurb. My top values, what captivates me. Then that next section, you put your career highlights, perhaps, or problems that you solve. My top 5 strengths, technologies I use. Even if you're not in the School of Technology or getting a IT degree, today it can be very helpful to have an understanding of AI platforms, um, chat GPT types of platforms, things like that. Or if you're in accounting, I kept using accounting, but what technologies are being used with that? If you're in healthcare, then what HIPAA types of technologies or electronic medical records, things of that sort. And then your closing can be, again, the headers in bold can be my goals are, where I want to go. So connect with me. And then you can give a little blurb about that. So these are just some ideas, but it can be eye catching and a little bit different than somebody else's to really be the hook that you might be looking for. Now, the experience section is really close to your resume. It's really, very similar to that. So go back 10 to 15 years, that's fine. That's a good round number that we're still seeing for that. For less relevant experience, but still, if it goes within that 10-year time frame, you still want to include it because employers and recruiters still want to know if it's not a job that is in my industry, it still tells me that you had a job. That still tells me that you have a work ethic and you were dependable and reliable and you held a job back in that time. Instead of saying, well, I'm not going to add these irrelevant jobs, but then your work experience section only has 2 or 3 jobs back 5 or 6 years, and that might be worse than adding jobs, that you may think are irrelevant. That can include your any internships or micro internships, volunteer roles, clinical experiences. If you're coming from an education background or healthcare, any of those are still experience, and they can fit just fine in your experience section. You don't have to create a separate volunteer section. You can if you want, and there is a way to do that. And LinkedIn has that included, a volunteer section, internships. So it's kind of your personal choice. Here's another way of making your experience section a little more interesting. And again, that job title has a higher index that those LinkedIn recruiters will also be looking for as they're using those algorithms. Yeah, that's a good point, Lauren. So would it be wise to add volunteer experience in employment gaps in the work history? Sure. And if you don't have anything to show for that employment gap, if it's a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, what were you doing? And that's what recruiters will be asking themselves. Well, I see you have a 2 to 3 year employment gap. What were you doing? Were you in school? Then go ahead and put that in there. Um, I had one student, this is some time ago. They took kind of a time to go travel, because they had the time and they had the resources, but they weren't working. And they did that. They put that in there. I don't know exactly what they put, but it was something about that they traveled various European countries. And then they explained, you know, increased my ability to interact with a variety of people. Worked at a youth hostel, building my ability to work diplomatically with a variety of teams. I mean, they got detailed with it a little bit, but they used that as they were building on the interesting. Explains what happened during that gap time, but it tells me a little bit more than they would if they just left it blank. Yep. Intercultural exploration and communication skills. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to do that. When back to your regular work section, if you want to use what we call compound job titles, this is a really good way to do this as well. So some examples, you could just put marketing associate, but what did you do? Oh, I worked a lot with social media. I did this, I did that, I did X. Well, go ahead and put that in there. Marketing associate, you have a spacer or divider, social media strategist, instructional designer, content developer, software engineer. Well, what did you do? I was a full stack developer. I worked with Python or C Sharp. I was a web, developer. Put that as part of your compound title. That's picked up again by the searches. And again, it makes it a little bit more interesting to read. You can even add keywords if you want to make it a little bit more detailed. So if you put in health informatics specialist, clinical information systems, data entry, human resources coordinator, recruiting, onboarding, payroll, cybersecurity analyst, network security, threat management. So it makes it more interesting, gives a little bit more information. Another way of building out your experience section. Now, again, very similar to your resume. You can add a couple of sentences that can be like your job scope, kind of like your responsibilities. What did you do? And then underneath that, you could put in maybe a few accomplishment statements. Just like your resume, you want to use strong action verbs to lead each statement. If you can use metrics, that's good. If you don't worry about it. You don't have to. But you want to focus on that greater purpose behind more than just responsibility. That's a little static. You want to be a little bit more dynamic. I always say, don't tell me what you did, but also tell me how did you do it. So it's almost like that star uh, method of interview preparation. What was your task? What action did you take? And what was the result? How did your work benefit the business? That could be the result. How did you work in teams? What were maybe some customer, feedback or responses from your clients or people you might have worked with? Even using soft skills, which is fine, to kind of leverage that accomplishment. Teamwork, communication, active listening, problem solving, things like that. Again, adding any kind of tools or specific technologies um, is also good to use. Now, in your education section, here's an example of this. You can get a little bit more detailed than you would on your resume. So here's an example. So you put Western Governors University, Bachelor of Science, BS in Marketing, the dates. Unlike the resume, your LinkedIn profile will have the span of dates. When did you start to present, or when did you start and when did you graduate? And then give it a little bit more of that compound treatment. Marketing skills, give us some experience. These could be part of your coursework. If you don't have it just yet, you can use the descriptions of your courses, pick out some of those keywords because you were actively learning those, and that is part of your experience. Your capstone project. Maybe some of the marketing technologies or tools that were being used. Google Analytics, Adobe Creative Suite, Microsoft Office, HubSpot, things like that. So the skills section is another one that it's got some power behind it. It is one that also has a high index level that LinkedIn recruiters like to use. So you want to make it also keyword rich. Now, you can add up to 100 skills. That's maximum. But really only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 are visible. If they're just skimming your profile, they have to actually click into that skills section to open all of it. So make sure that those top 1, 2, or 3 skills that are visible are your highest ranking skills. Those are your top skills, because that's going to help you get that more than 17 times more profile views if you have some powerful skills that you're adding to that. At least the first 5 can be those, and then if you're going to add more than that, they can be kind of the lesser relevant, but still as part of your toolbox, so to speak. So you can see here that we talked about how that skills section, as you open it up, it's kind of that search engine optimization that's going to help with that as well. Go ahead and spell them out. If you also want to add the abbreviation, that's fine too. So if you've got certifications like CompTIA, A+, that's perfectly fine. But put more than just A+. Go ahead and spell the whole thing out. CompTIA, A+, Network Plus. Or if it's in cybersecurity, or if it's anything you got from transferable skills, that's going to help with that search engine optimization to have it both spelt out and also the abbreviation. And you can look here. There used to be a skill assessment for LinkedIn. We don't believe it's available any longer. But you can still, kind of tag a skill to those credentials, things of that sort. And there are other ways to make sure your skills are being picked up. That's the purpose of that section. Now, just as a reminder, if you want to know, how do I open this or increase it, it's again that little pencil that will open up. And then also you can go to the those 3 ellipses that's there and open the skills and then add that to see those. But this is an example of what you would see. Now, this is optional. It's available. I still recommend that this would be very good to include any licenses or certifications. They could be anything that you got, even from LinkedIn Learning. You all have free access to LinkedIn Learning. If that resulted in a badge, what they call a badge that you can add to your profile, or any little micro credential, you can still include that to showcase it for your experiences. Recruiters will see that. They're going to see that you're adding to your knowledge. It demonstrates your commitment and that proactive action that you're taking. It keeps you in that realm of being relevant. And again, you're building your knowledge points. And on LinkedIn, unlike your resume, you could add the URL for that issuing organization like CompTIA or some of the others. You don't want to do that on your resume. It really won't affect the applicant tracking systems, but you don't want too many live hyperlinks to activate a spam filter. Today, that's getting a little bit more intuitive to where that won't maybe be a problem, but I wouldn't risk it at this point for that. So Cecia asked, I have a license from another career. Should I include that? If it's not relevant or would be used in your next career, I probably wouldn't add it, just so that you can save space if you need to a little bit and not make it too irrelevant, because that takes away from the attention of what you really want recruiters to be looking for. But good question. I think those are good questions to ask, just to make sure. Now, if you have colleagues that gave a recommendation, you can add those. That's really good. You're getting a different voice. You're getting a different input that could be on your LinkedIn profile. And here are the three good sections that give good reasons. Why do this? Because it can bolster your professional credibility from somebody else's perspective. It helps you to stand out when somebody else may not be doing it. If that's your competitor, highlights your strengths. What do they know about you? Why would they give you a recommendation as a colleague? And then again, helping to reinforce your brand, that sort of thing. When I came to WGU, I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I worked at the University of Texas in Arlington. I asked for references and recommendations from other academic advisors, people I worked with in other departments, not just in my own. The people I worked with, of course, are going to give probably glowing recommendation, but if you can get it from a variety of sources, you want it to be professional sources, not your pastor, not your neighbor, but people that have worked with you, for that. Managers, internship supervisors, program faculty, clients. That's a good idea too. So, and then how, include a message with your request, providing some context of what you're doing around your goals. Give maybe some guidelines for that. You want quality over quantity, for that. And then you can volunteer and reciprocate and say, there's anything I could do for you. I'm here and available. Show gratitude. I really appreciate this time. So just some tips and things on recommendations. So Cicia, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm assuming that you may be from UTA or from North Texas as the shout out. So they're doing great things. They're increasing. Their career center has really increased since I was there. Our career services office here has really exploded with resources and things that we're offering. Oh, 2 BAs from there. That's great. What are you getting here from WGU? And if anybody wants to answer that, what degrees are y'all getting from WGU? Why not share that? We're networking, folks. That's why we're here. Data science. Excellent. All right. MBA, nursing, health science. Oh, MBA in healthcare. Good. I should have asked that earlier, but I'm glad that we're able to get that now. Master's in cybersecurity. Very good. Excellent. So with what you're studying, if any of these additional sections help, you can include them. Again, now languages can probably be more spoken languages, but for those of you in the School of Technology, maybe you can add a technology profile with that. Projects, again, publications, that's not bad. You know, if you can, that's perfectly fine. But if you're going for a career and you don't need a CV versus a resume, that you need publications or presentations, um, posters and things you might have used in that way, I don't think it will hurt on your LinkedIn profile. It just may not be much of a higher um, visible element to use, but that's certainly an option. Now, a note about settings. Again, you would access that at the top right where you would, you know, your little picture or your initials. You should be able to look at your settings. And that's if you want to adjust your visibility. Some people don't want to be concerned if their boss or colleagues are seeing maybe if they're part of your LinkedIn network and if they get updated to say, hey, Cliff changed his LinkedIn profile or whatever, if they get that notification, you don't want them to come back and say, oh, are you looking for another job? You know, if that's a can of worms, you just want to avoid that kind of conversation. You can choose the visibility to just be recruiters, or it could be everybody on your network. Um, and you can just simply say, I'm staying up to date on my LinkedIn profile. I'm updating my information. I went to this great workshop from WGU on LinkedIn, and now I've got some new things I want to add. That's all I need to say. But here's how you can edit any of those areas for those viewing options. So my people with visibility at my company just sort of disappear. All right. This is kind of meh. You know, you can use it if you want. It's kind of up to you, personal choice. That ring or that halo, as I call it, kind of around your picture, open to work, hashtag open to work. I've gotten mixed reviews from recruiters and employers. Uh, Sometimes it just says, "Hey, I'm available and I'm open to work." Again, if you don't want that to advertise what's going on, you can leave it off. It can pick up those algorithms, and that's the purpose of the hashtag. And I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. In fact, you can see that right now with McCall's profile, if you look under her heading, she's got some hashtags, hashtag careers, hashtag job search, hashtag now hiring, hashtag resume writing. So if those algorithms are, and even those AI searches are trained to look for relevant hashtags that might be out there, then she's kind of, you know, putting out her, you know, bat signal, right? As another way of getting attention. But here's some ideas. Recruiters only, precautions taken to prevent visibility from current company. So don't put the green frame or halo. But again, if you're putting that out there for folks to find you in a different way, and they've got options, you can do other open to, I think they're adding a little bit more and more that's there for that. Oh, I did not know that. That's something new. So Christian says that he heard that you should deactivate it for about 5 minutes and then reactivate it so that you get near the top of the list weekly. Um, I did I did not know that. So that's yeah, if it sort of automatically changes the settings, so to speak, and then reactivates it and sees you as a new entry with that halo, that might be interesting to see that. So we may need to research it to see. Um, let's see what happens if take a little break. And what I'm doing is I'm putting that in my search, and I'm going to put, let's see if that comes up. Why not find that out now? I'm going to move some tables around here. Nope, that didn't come up with anything. Let's do AI mode. Let's see. Nope, this says this is an internet myth or common misconception. Deactivating and reactivating does not move you to the top of any list in search results or news feeds. Well, aren't we glad we looked at that? Interesting. I'm just here's another part of this. I'm going to put this in the chat because I think y'all might be interested in it. So yeah, thanks, Christian, for looking at it. Here is another part of that response I got. I'll give y'all a minute to look that over. Interesting, huh? So good. All right. So here are some next steps that you can do. You can identify target companies. And we're seeing that more now in our career services trends that's coming up, that folks will start to look for and target a targeted industry or company and begin to research that company, following that company to be up to date with new happenings from them. All right, Lindsay. Remember, if you just joined us, you're joining us late, you're going to get a copy of the video for this. And so that will go out to you once I get it, and you can come back and see any parts that you missed. I know we've been talking a little bit about different things, so we have a few more minutes left here. So if you go to our networking page on our homepage, you'll be able to see the user guide that's there. We've got other workshops in personal branding. And again, if you want us to do a review of your LinkedIn profile, you can send it to us at careers@wgu.edu. We use the LinkedIn user guide for the review to help you out. So think about what one action or two actions can you do with the coming week that will help you in your LinkedIn profile. Reflect on that, think about it, and see what you can come up with. Now, here is something new that we have. If you all know about JobScan, this will also give you a LinkedIn profile optimizer, so you can use that for your LinkedIn. You put your URL in that, and it will give you an optimization scan. Let's look at a really short video on exactly what that looks like.
And click Continue. Next, paste a job. Welcome to JobScan. Let's take a look at the LinkedIn optimization tool with JobScan's suite of premium job search tools. With this tool, you'll get all the advice and guidance you need to boost your LinkedIn profile to get found by recruiters and show hiring managers that you're the best fit for the job. And it only takes 2 simple steps to get started. First, navigate to the LinkedIn tab from the top menu of your JobScan dashboard and select LinkedIn Optimizer. Add your LinkedIn profile URL and click Continue. Next, paste a job description you want to apply for here and click Add. You must add or select a minimum of 3 job descriptions so that your LinkedIn profile is optimized for the different jobs you'll apply for. Your resume should be tailored to each individual job, but you only have one LinkedIn profile, so it needs to be more broad. You can also select from previous jobs you have added by clicking the plus icon next to it. Click on the 3-dot menu icon to view the job description or remove it from your selection. When you're done, click Scan. JobScan's system will analyze your profile and compare it to the job descriptions you entered. Using a proprietary algorithm, you'll get a match rate and a detailed report showing how well your profile is optimized and what you should do to improve it. Here's an overview of what this report includes. First, you'll see the match rate of your profile. This tells you how well you match the kinds of jobs you're applying for. Next, the report will show if you've included key information like your full name, profile picture, background picture, location and industry, and whether the Open to Work status is enabled or not. Note that the Open to Work status may be shown as not enabled if you set it as visible only to recruiters from your LinkedIn profile settings. If you don't know what a section or item means, you can click the question mark next to it to see more details on the checks and why those items are important. Next on the report are high-impact items like your headline and summary. The system checks your headline to see if it follows best practices for length and formatting and is tailored for the roles you are applying for. You can see your current headline here and advice on how to improve it. You can even get a new headline that's tailored to your work experience and skills. Just click here. This feature uses a custom AI prompt to generate a new headline that follows best practices and is personalized to your skills and work experience. Next, you'll see your profile summary report. The system checks that your summary follows best practices for length, formatting, and tone, and that it mentions relevant skills and measurable results. You can click the tip button to get tips for each section. These will give you more insights for how to improve your profile. There's also an option here to get a new summary using AI. This generated summary will follow best practices and is personalized to your experience, skills, and achievements. If you don't like the generated summary, you can click the button again to generate a new one. The next part of the report is the work experience section. You'll see checks that will ensure you have a complete profile with important details that will help you stand out. For each job listed, you'll see a check or an X for the categories, date, job title, company name, and responsibilities. If you see an X, that means you need to add that info on the details for that role on your profile. The next section is the most important, key skills. Here you'll see the common skills mentioned in the job description you added. These skills need to be on your profile. Recruiters have access to LinkedIn tools that allow them to find and filter LinkedIn profiles by skills and job titles. Make sure that your profile lists these skills. Next is the education section. The system checks your profile to verify whether or not you have the education or degree that the job descriptions you entered require, if they do. It will even tell you which degree is required from the job descriptions. Lastly, you'll see extra tips and tricks that can give your profile a boost, like having a vanity URL and a recommended number of connections. Everything you need to do is lined out for you in this report. All you have to do is update your LinkedIn profile based on the advice and instructions. After you've updated your profile, click the New LinkedIn Scan button. Run the scan with your same profile URL and make sure you select the same jobs you selected before. The match rate now will update based on the edits you made. That's it. Now your LinkedIn profile will be working for you even when you're not applying for jobs. Boost your LinkedIn profile with AI-powered insights and job matching precision. Start today at jobscan.co.
All right. So that is JobScan. And again, y'all have, premium subscription. You need to sign in with the WGU email. But this is what, we want to see, right? 3 times more interviews, 132 times or percent more LinkedIn profile views. And then hopefully it gets to that 46% or more shortened time for the interview. Well, I know we went over time a little bit, but I do appreciate your time with me today and with everybody here. Here is how you can contact us. If you want to take your phone out and scan that QR code, that is one of our surveys as well, but you're going to get a survey with the video that you get with the email that you will receive from me. But here are other ways to find us. There is our YouTube channel. We have other videos. from us here at WGU, and also recruiters and employers who have also done some videos as well. You can explore those at our YouTube channel. So yes, if you are an alum, you do have free access to LinkedIn Learning and JobScan and all of our services and help as well. If you're having any issues of logging in, just let us know and we'll see what we can do to help those out. But thank you all for joining. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I will stop the recording. But if you have any questions, I can hang out for a little bit longer if you want to ask any questions that's here.